It's all about frequent communications. More you are able to do open, honest, candid conversation with your investors, I think there is a common interest to see across the founder becoming successful. Everybody is aligned into that direction. It's just what is the way or approach to becoming successful is going to be a difference of opinion. If you can arrive at a middle ground and ensure that investor is buying in the way you are thinking, or you buying in into the investor thought process.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host Pritish Sanyal, and you're listening to the 1% Project. Conversations that will help you understand how some of the smartest minds build, scale, and operate new ideas and ventures. If you enjoy these conversations, do share and subscribe. My next guest on the 1% Project is Sanjay Mehta, founder and partner at 100x.vc and Mehta Ventures Family Office. Sanjay has invested in more than 150 plus startups across sectors with an 86% internal rate of return, with a notable 280x exit from Oyo and a 6,500 plus percent gain from a partial exit from Block 1. In his own words, most startups will fail, so you can say everything sucks and be right most of the time. Although you will never lose money with this strategy, you will never make any either. In this conversation, he shares his learning from investing in startups, the ethos of 100x.vc, his advice for new angel investors and VCs on brand building and mentorship, and his so what strategy while evaluating a business idea. Welcome, Sanjay, to 1% Project.
Look forward, Pritish. Thanks for inviting me.
You've been an investor, an entrepreneur, and now a founder partner at 100x VC. What have you learned about investing?
It has been 1 decade in terms of, for me, investing in startups, but definitely lots of learning. And I think becoming an investor with startups is continuous learning. I mean, it is not probably a single moment that every deal teaches you, and every deal you invest teaches you more. So I think it has been a continuous journey of learning, and a very exciting one and gratifying one. A couple of points which I think are very relevant for investor side. One is building good relationship is very, very important kind of stuff in this business. Your opportunity to get access to the deals is going to be very important, and that's basis on relationship. You might not have access to those deal flows which relationships can bring you in, kind of stuff. If you are an investor trying to invest into startups, your relationship are going to be prime important. Second is going to be being a founder friendly VC, and I have been very successful. It is a conscious effort to become a founder friendly VC where you want founders to be successful. And how do you first give back and before you actually start working? So giving back should be your first motto in terms of working with entrepreneurs. While that is true, I'm very clear that VC is not a charity business. It's not a charity. It's a full-fledged business, and metrics has to be followed across. My final learning is risk is 1x and upside is unlimited. That's what I believe across, because it's just your capital and upside can be unlimited. This is the name of the game.
100x is a unique venture investment model for the Indian ecosystem using iSafes. What made you think that iSafes is going to be the way forward in India, and why did you think the market is ready for it?
So in my personal journey, when I invested over maybe now it's like 150 odd startups individually and through family office, I didn't see rogue founders coming in. I mean, yes, there are failed founders, but that's an idea which has failed. Usually entrepreneurs have got mindset thinking when they start across, and somewhere the ideas don't work out and it fails across. But I've not seen rogue founders. And at early stage, when you're writing small checks, it doesn't warrant to have those onerous shareholder agreements, and which is going to take from a couple of weeks to a month to close across. Safe notes, when I got exposed to Silicon Valley investing, safe notes were prevalent and a lot of deals were happening. That's where we got inspired and brought that to India and customized to India's simple agreement for future equity, which is customized to Indian laws. And the focus was to do volume investing, whereby trying to invest across 100 companies every year kind of stuff. That's the whole goal what we have across. While we are on that journey, we have just completed 29 investments in 1 year, but hopefully we should be able to, maybe in a year or two, touch that 100 mark every year.
Why do you need a code of promise on 100x?
What happened across in our class one, this we introduced across in class two. We invest in a class mode, every batch is there. And in class one, we saw across one deal where VC didn't want angels to come in or individual investors to participate. And there were commitments which were there, and the VC was trying to push out the angels. How do you get that part sorted across where investors who are committing smaller checks continue to be on the cap table and quickly close the round? That's where, while the documentation is in progress, this code of promise is just it's not a legally binding one, but at
Yeah.
least ethically and morally, between both investor and founder, there is an agreement saying that at whatever the valuation cap or amount which is going to be invested, both of them have agreed across. That's, again, we are just a discovery platform. We don't get into negotiations, we don't get into that transaction. We are just trying to ensure that the transactions are smooth and every investor gets a fair share of their exposure with startups which they like.
You are somebody who has a very strong brand value in the venture market in India. What will be your advice to new angel investors and VCs?
I love sharing my experiences and hard learned lessons as an angels. And I run venture investing master classes with, I've done a couple of them. One was with Association of Wealth Managers, with Thai, now doing with Indian Merchant Chamber. So the focus is to help and spread as much knowledge that more investors or angels or early stage investors join in, and the pot becomes bigger and bigger. There are things like, for example, there are not enough lead investors available in the early stage ecosystem, which can, with a conviction, lead a deal and put a large check as a lead investor or do the first check. Would like to see across how I can help across those early stage angels becoming a lead investors rather than just passively putting money into the deals. Second is, I would like to see across mentoring first attitude kind of stuff. While yes, money is very important, capital is important for startups, but angels bring in a lot of value which can help across their startup, be it in their contracting, be it across just trying to guide them on a small stuff, and like pricing models in terms of how to hire or fire across an employee, help founders take interview of the team members whom they are recruiting, various stuff where an angel or an early stage investor can be valuable. Mentoring is what I would look upon. And lastly, act like a shadow co-founder to the startups. That brings a lot of value. It brings a social proof for startups, saying that if a reputed angel is investing into it, it brings a credibility. That's what I think. What startups, they at early stage, ideas are very fragile. They need lots of nurturing. If investors can do that, and it pays back in multiples. Whenever you invest, founders recommend across, and that's where you can create your own brand and reputation, where proprietary deals start coming at your end.
In one of your interviews, you spoke about painkillers and vitamin ideas. Can you explain what that means and which of these will be most effective post COVID?
The way I look upon is, typically painkillers are quicker to move, faster to close across, and you the things are broken across, and there is a desire to solve that pain. So any solution around it will be quick to adopt by the customers, and you don't have to do hard work. And typically there is a, you called across, a tailwind which is behind that, because a customer is searching for a painkiller. So that's where it helps across. In the COVID times, we see across a lot of consumer behavior change, which whereby future of work changed drastically. Everybody is able to now trying to see across how work is being done across remotely, on various aspects. That was one. And secondly, education tech kind of sectors got hugely accelerated with help of technology, and startups were at the forefront transforming those industries kind of stuff. So it has been, each sector had its own impact, and many of them could take a positive advantage to COVID and accelerate it. If you look into it, the cost of hiring or talent availability became very easy in the COVID times. The cost of customer acquisition has gone down drastically because people are adopting across technology and tech enabled solutions. In a nutshell, I think startups which are able to work, which were able to overcome or are able to overcome these obstacles are making most of it.
You mentioned in one of your other interviews that founders should be able to approach the investors in the decision making, specifically in the COVID scenarios. How would you advise a founder to do that? How should they approach their present investors and get them to be a part of the decision making process?
It's all about frequent communications. More you are able to do open, honest, candid conversation with your investors, I think there is a common interest to see across the founder becoming successful. Everybody is aligned into that direction. It's just what is the way or approach to becoming successful is going to be a difference of opinion. If you can arrive at a middle ground and ensure that investor is buying in the way you are thinking, or you buying in into the investor thought process. I always say it is not who is the founder or an investor, it is what is for the company is to be done across. The best case scenario would be if it is an interest for the company, that's the decision which has to be taken.
You assess startups in three buckets: product, and then there's product plus users, and there is product users plus revenue. What do you look into when you're evaluating startups in the bucket one and two?
When you are looking at the product, you look upon, is this something unique? Is this just an IP, or can I convert this
Mhm.
IP into a business? The product has to be converted into a business. Let's say, for example, a startup founder says, "Now I've built a 128-bit security." For me, it doesn't mean anything. I ask what, and then he says, okay, this is an unbreakable security. And I ask what, and then he says that, okay, this is like if I'm using a credit card online, it is unbreakable. Now there is a product which is converted into business. So
Hmm.
that's where, if there is a possibility where product can be converted in business, then you are more interested to invest. When you're product and user, which means the traction, you would like to see across the retention ratio of the users. Are they using the product continuously? What's the kind of traction? Once you have that, it works across well to invest into it.
Usually, ideas are built for the advanced market, the 200 million English speaking Indian cosmopolitan metropolitan cities. On the other hand, when you look at bottom up approaches, investments that are made by the Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation, do you think that the impact of COVID is going to change or get VCs looking at businesses which are really helping the lowest pyramid of the society?
Definitely, today, if you look into it, based softwares, the focus is on India and Bharat. There are lots of funding which is happening across for Bharat-based software, be it across on reskilling, be it across on trying to get them entertainment, be it across where the education at the bottom of the pyramid, which is there. So many startups are trying to build stories around it, and VCs are definitely funding the Bharat side of the software. If you look into it, we ended up investing, for example, in a company called Theo.ai, which is a blue collar worker hiring platform. If you look in after Naukri, there is no other platform. How do you build it? So yes, people are investing into this.
If there's something that you would like the Indian venture space to change, what would that be?
I think quicker transaction closure, and second is value the contribution of early stage investors.
What are your thoughts on your missed opportunities?
I've got tons of anti portfolio. I mean, I bucket into two sectors. One is where I took a decision to pass those opportunity, and second is where I lost a deal to a bigger VC or a bigger investor. The hurt part, or the I believe that there's nothing more expensive than a lost opportunity, which was big. I believe the decisions where I have passed it, I try to learn from it and refine my investment thesis. And where I am losing out on other VCs, there is very little which you can do in that sense. That's luck, what we call across.
What are your thoughts of YC being in India?
It's great. I mean, YC was always in India before 100x also, and now they are actively soliciting deals. I think their model is quite different than what 100x does across. We are focused only on India startups, whereas they are doing across global one. Our understanding on ground is much different than how they would be looking at startups. So while both of us are doing, both institutions are looking to invest in early stage, both have got a different thesis and approach.
WhatsApp payment has just become, I think, a thing in India now, which obviously gives competition to the major players. But I think it makes the young fintech startups' life much more difficult on penetration and a lot of other areas. What will be your advice for a new fintech startup which is competing against the WhatsApp of the world?
Pritish, the way I look upon is fintech, unless you have got something very breakthrough, like for example, you have an execution capability like Zerodha, which is very unique
Yeah.
and which created a new market while existing incumbents were already prevalent and well entrenched. Very few of them would be into that space. Most of the fintech are eating the leftovers of bank. These are like non-profitable businesses which banks are not doing, and that's where I'm always worried about the unit economics with the fintech guys in terms of how would they make money. While India is a massive country, and you blindly throw a stone anywhere and you will find a problem, you will hit a problem. Fintech can solve across everything. It starts and ends at money kind of stuff. But what is that unit economics? Will you be really be able to make money is going to be a question mark for me in most of the fintechs. They need to find that set of customers where they can create a fundable and a sustainable business.
When we look at a super app, I'm not sure if India is going to ever have one in its own totality like WeChat. But if it does, do you think transactions need to be at the heart of it?
Absolutely. The super app, I mean, the whole utility of super app is going to be where you are able to do multiple transactions today. If you look into it, every phone would have at least 100 plus apps right downloaded for various stuff, which is, and if India has that super app which can solve across the need, I think nothing like it. Paytm is trying to build something very similar where I can do payments of bill, I can book movie tickets, I can do all possible transactions. Paytm is trying to do across. I can book bus tickets. I mean, various stuff which is there. So, yes, we don't have a massive ecosystem like how China has, but I believe there is still an opportunity to build one.
But China has a more homogeneous environment ecosystem compared to India. And I think that's why there's such a strong penetration of WeChat, Alipay, and all that stuff. Do you think the penetration of or the launch of WhatsApp payment or Geo coming along with Facebook, that's going to give an opportunity to create a more homogeneous, a super app environment?
Yes, there is a huge opportunity over there to work across and build it. Will Geo try to do across? Possibly, yes. I don't see why they should not be doing it. But it will take some time while Geo is still settling on various and fighting on various fronts. Even if you look into it, today Amazon is trying to come into various verticals. So Amazon is trying to become like a super app in that sense, if you look into it. So with PhonePe and Flipkart, they are trying to do very similar stuff. Recently, Flipkart acquired one of my company called MacMocha, which is a gaming company. My idea is everybody is trying to get into that position, including I would say across government, which is driven through NPCI, their own UPI app, various aspects which will get created across very similarly. I don't see that as saying that it's not happening. Everybody will try to jump into it.
Are you somebody who usually has a very packed day or you pace yourself out throughout the day?
I'm not a structured guy. It's usually going to be as things come by. I take my day. Nothing is well organized kind of stuff. And I do on a priority basis because of the large portfolio, there is some action which is happening across and which needs continuous attention. That's where my priority goes across. But one thing which I love across and I continue doing till today is to review deals and listen to pitches. I mean, that's like my daily kind of, it just satisfies my hunger kind of stuff. I love meeting founders. In COVID times, I've done marathon like kind of pitch calls and stuff. That's what I enjoy doing it, and I continue making time for it.
Now, 3 rapid fire questions. One word or one sentence. One book or a blog that has made the most difference to you.
Straight from the Gut, Jack Welch. That's a book which I read in my earlier days in my college times, and that had a good impact.
One superhero.
I think Peter Thiel.
Oh, wow. I was thinking of you would say a comic hero, but yeah. How do you see competition?
Most welcome. Competition should exist. That grows the market.
Brilliant. Sanjay, it was a pleasure speaking to you.
Sure. Thank you, Pritish, and look forward for more engagement.
You can find the show notes for this episode and every other episode on 1%.live. If you enjoyed this conversation, share it on social media and leave a review. See you next time.